A Rose in Jeopardy. Written by Barbara Cartland. Narrated by Anthony Wren. Chapter 1, 1880. Lady Rosella Ryland reached out her hand gently to touch the glorious pink rose hanging down from the trellis above her head. It was such a perfect shape, with its cluster of curled petals, the most beautiful flower on the old rambling rosebush that had been there as long as she could remember. "Happy birthday, Rosella," she whispered sadly to herself, as she breathed in the divine scent of the rose in the warm summer air of the walled garden at New Hall. It was the 1st of June, and she had just become 17 years old. But there was no one to remember that this was a very special day, for her beloved Aunt Beatrice, who had brought her up, was dead, and she had no other close family who might wish her a happy birthday, or send her a present, or even a card, with their good wishes. "Your ladyship?" There was a crunch of boots on the path behind Rosella. Thomas, the gardener's boy, was hurrying towards her with a shallow basket over his arm. Dear Thomas, he had remembered what day it was, and he was bringing her a present. But as he came closer, she saw that the basket was empty, except for a pair of secateurs. I thought you might like," Thomas stammered, looking shyly at her from under the fair hair that hung over his forehead like a pony's mane, to cut off some of the flowers like you used to, my lady." Rosella could not help the tears that stung her eyes. It was not that Thomas had forgotten her birthday. After all, he was just the gardener's boy. Why should he have remembered that today was such a special occasion for her? The staff at New Hall had been deeply shocked by her aunt's sudden death, and were most preoccupied with what might happen to them in the future, as Lord Carlton Brockley, Lady Beatrice's brother, would be coming soon to take up residence, and no one knew what kind of a man he might be to work for. Thomas would be no exception to that, of course. He might even fear that he would lose his job. No, it was not the fact that he had not wished Rosella happy birthday. It was the memory of so many happy times she had spent in the walled garden, gathering flowers to take to her aunt, that suddenly caused Rosella's heart to ache. Every morning she used to cut some of the finest blooms of whichever flowers were in season and take them to her aunt, where she sat on the yellow silk sofa in the drawing-room after breakfast, with her constant companion, Pickle, the grey parrot, in his cage by her side. As Rosella stood there in the bright sunshine on her birthday, struggling to hold back her tears, she remembered another day, just 1 month before, when she had hurried back to the hall through a shower of soft spring rain, her arms full of white lilac and huge crimson peonies. "Hello? Hello? Good morning, dear," Pickle called out from his cage as she entered the drawing-room, ruffling his grey feathers and holding his head on one side to stare at her. Why, it's my darling Rosella," Aunt Beatrice exclaimed. "What a wonderful choice! The scent of lilac reminds me that summer will soon be here, and the white flowers will look so very pretty next to the red peonies. Oh, how clever you are!" That day, Rosella's aunt was in her usual place on the yellow sofa, but she was not sitting there. She had put her feet up and was lying back on the cushions as if she was very tired. But she was smiling and seemed so pleased with the flowers that Rosella thought nothing of it. The parlour-maid brought a big blue and white vase and scissors, and Rosella began to arrange the flowers. "Just think," Aunt Beatrice said dreamily, "in a few short weeks the garden will be full of roses again." "Your favourite flower," Rosella replied, trimming the stem of a lilac branch. "And mine too, naturally." "I should hope so," her aunt smiled. It was a favourite little joke of theirs, for Rosella had been named after her mamma, whose first name was Ella, and after her papa's favourite flower, the rose. "There are lots of buds already on the rose bushes," Rosella said now. "There will be masses of flowers soon. Oh, I just cannot wait." Then Aunt Beatrice gave a little sigh. "This garden here at New Hall, I'm so lucky to have enjoyed it all these years. It must.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?